everyone. So, yeah, happy to hear an AI joke, so you put the bar very high. Anyways, so always happy to be here at Station F. We had a mentoring office at Station F from day one, so always a love story between startups and AWS. I will talk about my two favorite topics, security and AI. And you know, it's not well known, but we've been doing AI for more than 20 years within the Amazon group, and we acquired this huge experience at AWS because our AI services have been used by more than 100,000 customers worldwide. So we learned a lot, and we were able to improve a lot. Now, you all know that generative AI is probabilistic by essence, which means that same inputs, different outputs, which is a new challenge, by the way, when you talk about security, because how do you ensure that your model is behaving correctly if the model can output many different results? Now, I'm lucky to be able to talk to tens and hundreds of CIOs. Those are the three questions I typically get from CIOs. Number one, accuracy of the models. Understand how do I protect from hallucinations? Because if you are in HR or legal, it can be a big challenge. Of course, you don't want the model to hallucinate. Number two, security, and we will be diving deep into security. And number three, cost, or more generally, resources and also carbon emissions. And because as well, we've seen lots of customers looking first and foremost about what is the best model on the market. Which is a good question, but the problem is the best model in the market is also probably the most expensive. So the question is not so much what is the best model at all, but what is the best model for your specific use case. I mean, when you are a CIO, you don't ask vendors for, give me the most performant database in the world. It doesn't make sense. And for AI, it's the same thing. So let me just spend 1 minute on those two questions, so accuracy and cost. Our belief, our conviction at AWS is that there is no one technology to rule them all. So the answer is choice. Choice of technology, choice of vendors, choice of models. And we want ideally to provide you the choice of all the available models. You may have your favorite ones. I pretty love Anthropic, Claude 3, very performant, and especially Claude 3 Haiku. It's the small model. It's 10 times cheaper than Claude 2 before and at the same performance and super fast. But as well with the Mistral AI, that we onboarded and it's available in Paris, and lots of others. Of course, many of those models are also open source, like the Meta Llamas ones, or we are a very early partner of Hugging Face, which provides hundreds of thousands of open source models and small ones. So it's all about choice with the models, but it's also about choice within the chips, the GPUs. We are, I suppose, we are the biggest partner of NVIDIA in the world. So, of course, we provide all the latest from NVIDIA. But as well, we invest into our own CPUs, our own chips. It's called Trainium and Inferentia for AI. And also, as well, we have Graviton for the CPUs. And the baseline for that is basically it costs significantly cheaper. But on top of that, it consumes half the electricity, which is a good news. Now, let's go back to security. First question I get, of course, is how, as a customer, how do I protect my data? So, good news, of course, we provide decades of experience about that. Your data is your data. And there is, we will never, ever use your data to improve the models or to share it with the vendors. No. Your data is private, it's encrypted every time, and we never use it. Only you can decide what you do with your data. Of course, we went further. What you have here on the picture is the Nitro cards that we introduced in 2017. It provides additional security and performance, but let's focus on security. With the Nitro cards, it's what we call confidential computing, which means that we have built a system that prevents any AWS employee from accessing your data or connecting to the server. It's not a question of, it's not even more a question of legal or whatsoever. It's just that it's technically not feasible. The reason here is also to protect you as customers against all the, let's say, I would say laws, but all the extraterritorial laws that may be a concern for you, in a way that we are technically unable to provide any meaningful data to anyone. So in case we receive a request, the only thing we do is we divert the request to you as a customer. So I will stop here. If you still believe that the Cloud Act is an issue for you on AWS or any extraterritorial laws, please go at the booth later and we can discuss about that. So your data is private. Now, let's get back to generative AI, probabilistic, remember? It opens a lot of questions, like explainability, like ethics, fairness, and so on. So a new surface of attack and a new surface of potential concerns for you. And we are investing a lot in ethical AI, in ways to provide you with those things. What I see with customers, let me share, is generally you start with a general model, a big one, and you do prompt engineering. This is the first step. You still have the, let's say, the risk of hallucination, of course, and we work with model makers like Anthropic and some others that invest a lot, and really a lot into preventing that. Then the next step, of course, is RAG and fine-tuning, but RAG is a good way to quickly embrace the power of generative AI, but at the same time protect against hallucination. I mean, I suppose you all know RAG already, but the idea is really to use actual data, your data, documents, and to provide the documents to an LLM, to a model, and ask the model to reformulate, like to write a note that summarizes all this, which is very different from asking the LLM about its knowledge. You're not asking the LLM about its knowledge, which is a door open to hallucination. You're asking to just reformulate things. I often take the analogy of hiring a junior from school. If you hire a junior, they know a lot of things, but they know nothing about your own company. So the image here is that you would provide documents to a junior and you would ask the junior just to summarize in a note what's in the document. This is RAG. And also what's reassuring is you get, as you can see on the screen, you get also references to the actual source documents, which is a good way to verify if you need to verify that. Now, other way as well, you don't want the models to be toxic. And toxicity can be in different ways, so you don't want the model to insult your customers or your employees. And here you have an example, like, if you can't read, who are the best drivers, men or women? The model will refuse to answer to that, of course. But you can consider this as a non-ethical question. But at the same time, let's take a completely different context. You are a car insurer, and you are doing data analysis, and you want to split the risk by types of drivers, and especially men and women. In this kind of context, maybe this is a relevant question, because it's based on data, and it's to make a business decision. So maybe it's okay. Same thing, you don't want the model to have offensive language. Sounds normal. At the same time, if you use the model to explore, like let's say in customer reviews, and extract the offensive language, that's a different question. Here, you allow the model to output offensive language because this is exactly what you're looking for. So what we have implemented here is safeguards. Safeguards on the question and safeguards on the output. It means you have two moments that you can instruct the models about, is this question acceptable? And then, is this answer acceptable? Another area interesting also is IP infringement. So you can try, here it's show me a painting of a cat in Picasso style. it can raise many questions about, let's say, rights infringement. So, of course, the model will refuse to do that today. And as a proof, I would say, of trust in the models that we provide at Amazon and some of others, we also take into account this IP infringement, which means that if there is an IP infringement problem, we will pay you back, actually. We will indemnize you in those cases. Now, let me finish maybe with an example of AI and generative AI for security. It's a service that only exists right now in the US. It's called Amazon One. It's an authentication service. So you can find this in shops. It's just like you enter the shop, you just show the palm of your hand, and it automatically recognizes you. Now, what's interesting in this service is that, like any AI service, you need a lot of data, and especially we wanted a very high accuracy. But we didn't have enough pictures of hands to bring this accuracy. So actually the team of Amazon One used generative AI to create artificial hands. And as you see, more than 3 million pictures of artificial hands generated to train the actual security model into recognizing those hands. So I think it's a good story about AI and generative AI for security, and as well as the complementary of generative AI to provide test data and classical AI, if I may, to then recognize you. So thanks a lot. We have a booth. Don't hesitate to come see us and ask questions. Thanks.